Welcome to LNG. I'm Jamai Hakwani. Today I have M. David Chacon in my studio. Today we're talking about the run for judge and the second judicial district, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's Division 3 as far as I understand. I mean,
it is. Well, Division 3 is one of 27 divisions in the local district court, and so just happened to be one of the open seats that was available to run for in the criminal division, and so it's titled Division 3. There is an added benefit, of course, in being Division 3s. It's going to be, they're numerically added to the ballot, and so 3 would obviously come before Division 5 or Division 8 or Division 9, some of the other divisions that are up for election in November.
Yeah. There's a couple of vacancies there, right? I was looking on the district court.
Currently, there are 3 vacancies. However, the state central committees from Bernalillo County are set to appoint 3 additional Democrats and 3 additional Republicans to run for 3 additional vacancies. So you're actually going to have, by the time of the general election in November, you're going to have 6 district court positions on the ballot.
Okay. And when I was going through it, I saw there was a couple of vacancies. Usually there's always some vacancies there. I don't know how that happens, but we always notice that. And the one that you're on the ballot for is, I believe, is civil. Is it a criminal court? I think
it's a criminal position. Unfortunately, some of the vacancies are created for a number of reasons. Sometimes the judge in office will die in office. We saw that in Judge Bob Swartz when he passed away.
Correct, yeah.
This time you have 2 judges that retired. We have Judge Sanchez in the criminal division that retired, and you have Judge Ted Baca, who was the chief judge for many years. He retired, and his Division 5 civil seat is up for election in this election.
Yeah. Well, you've been practicing law for a long time. You're very experienced. You have a great deal of legal background there. Talk a little bit about where you started out as far as how you got your law career. And what was that like? Give us an idea, so that way those who are watching, they say, well, I see why he got into law. So what was that like?
I'm not sure there's an easy answer why you end up
I know
in
it's not
law.
an easy, but you know, why did you get into law? It was like, okay, this is the reason why I got into law.
Well, if you believe my grandfather said, you talk too much, so we know you're going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
I think that was the underlying foundation. But the reality is, law is so dynamic. It's anything you want it to be. I often tell the story, you can do anything in the practice of law. It just depends on what your interest is. And so I've always encouraged students and people who are interested in perhaps going to law school to think about it in the realm that you can do anything you want with a law degree. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your interest is. If you like water law, if you like ocean law, if you like international law, there's anything you want to do, the sky's the limit. And truly, the law is just an opportunity to opens the door. And how I got involved in it, I had the opportunity after graduating undergraduate, I went to work for the federal government as a field agent for the FDIC. I was a bank examiner. And as I went around the country, as exciting and dynamic as that was for a kid from Taos that had never stayed at fancy hotels or
because you grew up in Taos, right?
I did.
Town, small area. So.
One day I woke up, I was on assignment in Boston, and I said there has to be a different way. And I went to law school, and once after clerking at the Court of Appeals for a couple of years with Judge Bustamante, I began my practice. And I promise you there hasn't been a single day in the practice of law that hasn't been exciting, hasn't been wonderful. I often wonder, people really pay me to do this? And I see that excitement not just for me, but for everybody who practices law. And I assure you, there has never been a single day in the practice of law that I've had the same. You always know what your calendar is going to be like. You always know what's going to happen tentatively. But there's the call. Today, for example, I had a client that called me. He's on a program called the Community Custody Program. And there's a question of whether or not he should use one device versus another device, and it makes a big difference. And
device as far as?
In terms of being able to monitor him on the community custody program. Okay. And the difference is as simple as having a sobriator or a sober link. And the question is which device should be applied, and if we don't have an order by tomorrow, then he'll be switched to the other one. And so we were able to visit with the district attorney's office, visit with the judge's office, and be able to fashion an order on short notice. I didn't know that was going to happen today. I knew we were going to meet today.
So he just wanted to ask you which one to go with?
Well,
that was the question?
One of the problems is the individual has a partial disability.
I see.
And because he's on the community custody program, the question is how to best accommodate disability, because if we can accommodate the disability, we can keep him on the community custody program. If we don't accommodate it, then there's a real chance that he could be incarcerated. And given his substantial health issues and other issues that are associated with that case, it wouldn't be in his interest, it wouldn't be in the government's interest to have him. And so we're working on a way to work with the family, to work with the state of New Mexico, to work with the victims, so that everybody works together so that we resolve it in the best and most positive fashion for everybody involved. And that's, but it was on short notice. Things like that you don't expect. You have calls from different clients that want different things, or somebody has a problem, and they'll call you, and you might not always be able to help them. It may not be in your area of practice, but you try, and it still makes it exciting. People always rely on their lawyers in any particular situation, and we, you know.
I know there's a glamorous side to being a lawyer. Naturally, I mean, a lot of people that say, "Well, I want to be a lawyer." There's always a glamour, but then there's a realistic side to it when you go into legislation or you become a judge. This is where all the real test begins for as far as legal career is. So everything that I think you have gone through as far as a lawyer and your law school and all the experiences with Judge Bustamante when you worked with him on the Court of Appeals. What was that like, by the way, working on the Court of Appeals?
Judge Bustamante gave me one of the most incredible...
Great experience.
Absolutely. He was a young kid from Taos that nobody in my family has ever been a lawyer before. In fact, nobody in my family has ever gone to graduate school. And a lot of times, a lot of the judges, people who have practiced for a long time before they become judges, they get to know friends and family, and so when
someone kind of steers them towards being a lawyer.
They have somebody in mind when these incredible opportunities, for example, being a law clerk, you're helping the judge write decisions and opinions that will become the law in the state of New Mexico. And it's an awesome and incredible responsibility that you're entrusted with. And there was nobody, I didn't have an uncle or an aunt or a father that was a lawyer before me. So he took a chance on this kid, and I hope and believe it paid off for him. I was blessed to be offered an additional 2-year term. However, during law school, I did an externship and my district attorney clinic, and I got a taste of what it meant to go to trial on a regular basis. And
so that was a great experience there.
Absolutely. Once you start trying cases, you can't go back.
And these are the memorable, I think these are the impressionable things that I think a lot of kids sometimes don't have the opportunity to have, and I think makes a difference in their life, made a difference in your life.
Absolutely.
Let me take a short break. We'll come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jamai.
We'll take a short break, we'll be right back.